All right, good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody's doing. How's everyone? Good. Before we get started, one thing, before we get started with the lesson, just as a plug, because I'm part of the marketing team here at the YOTC, and for those of us watching live as well, who here uses TikTok? TikTok? Your mom does? Oh, that counts. No, that's okay. It's fine to start. No, I'm not trying to say bad things about TikTok. It's just YOTC now has a TikTok of their own. So I wanted to tell you guys to kind of go check us out, follow us. Our ad is at Spot Church. See, what is Spot? St. Paul. What? Yeah, St. Paul Ethiopian Orthodox Church. So as we're merging the two, we have created a TikTok account just to be able to reach out to more people, because apparently there's a lot of people on there. I am of age where I'm like, I used to make fun of people for still being on Facebook because they're the old crew. Now people are making fun of you because I don't use TikTok. But apparently a lot of people are on there. Since they're on there, YOTC Spot, we're trying to do the best to reach out to folks with as many branches as possible. So please go and follow us, and those watching online as well, at Spot Church, at SPOT Church. That's our tag, at whatever it's called, on TikTok. All right, so with that being said, today, the lesson is about cliches, right? And let me tell you how I came up with this lesson. They said Dawid concluded his series about history, and now until we come up with our next series, which we need you guys to help with as well. We're gonna do week to week different sermons, right? So, and I was like, okay, they asked me to teach. I was like, what can I teach about that's not like cliche? What can I teach about that's not like something they haven't heard before? And I was thinking, I really had a hard time. I couldn't think of something that was like something that you guys haven't heard before. So I decided to double down. Instead of avoiding the cliche, we're going to talk all about cliches today. All right? All we're going to talk about is cliches. Can somebody give me some of your favorite cliches, something you hear on a day-to-day? Or let me start. What is a cliche? Yeah.
Cliche is a statement that, can't think of the word.
All right, the mic.
A cliche is a redundantly overly used phrase that is now basically criminal.
Yeah, so it's something that a phrase or something that you use over and over, and you've used it so much that it's lost its meaning, right? And that's why I want to talk about cliches. So tell me some of your favorite cliches. Huh? I don't know what you're saying, bro. Curiosity killed the cat. Okay, that's one. Any other cliches? Y'all don't use cliches? Teamwork makes the dream work. That's actually one of the ones we're going to talk about. Actually, you're not allowed to say anything because you've seen my slides. Dawid, no more for you. Any other cliches that you guys know? All right, so these are like, I did a basic Google search, and New Year, ugh, yeah. That one is coming around. I felt that one right here. I felt attacked. So that we're not going to talk about that because I'm still working on that with the New Year coming up. So these are some of the cliches that, by the way, I didn't type this. This is actually a picture that I made fit to the screen. So we talked about some of the cliches that you guys use on a day-to-day. Now, my question to you is, this thing is not working? Oh, I got to turn it on? Cool. What is the most cliche parable in the Bible? Hold on, let's give other folks a chance. Yeah. The prodigal son. Dang, that is first try. It really is cliche, that's what I mean. So today, we're going to talk about the most cliche parable, which is the prodigal son. Now, for those that don't know what the prodigal son is, it is found in Luke chapter 15, verses 11 through 32. And what happens is there was a man that had two sons, right? And of the two sons, the first one was very obedient. He respects his father, very family-oriented. Kind of reminds me of myself, The second one, he was young, he was a rebel. He said, you know what, Dad, this is what I'm going to do. Give me all my inheritance, give me all my money that I'm supposed to receive. I'm going to go away to a faraway country and live my life, right? He went there, blew all his money just doing God knows what, and now he was broke, right? And this, it just happens, just his luck, there was a famine to the place he went to. And he needed food, so he got hired doing what? For those of you that know the story. Feeding pigs, right? Imagine, he went from a very wealthy father that he had to feeding pigs. Oh, questions already, yeah.
And then after that,
Oh, please. Okay, what happened after that?
after that he said, maybe my dad wasn't even, like, I'll just go back and become his servant.
Yeah, that's what he said. Before that, what really threw me off about this story is that he was feeding the pigs, and he was down bad to the point he said, man, the food they're eating don't look too bad to me right now. Imagine, that is the biggest wake-up call that you can ever have. If you're ever comparing the food you don't have with the pigs that you're feeding, that's like, whoa, somewhere along the way, I went wrong, right? Somewhere along the way, I did something wrong. And like my little man said over here, he said, instead of trying to feed the pigs here, I'm not even worthy of going back to be like the same place I was with my father. I want to go back and work with the servants, because the servants with my father at least get food, right? Are you guys with me so far? This is a well-known story. I just want you guys to get a good understanding of it, because this is a cliche parable we're going to talk about when we talk about cliches. All right? So he goes back home. His dad, what does he do? He walks him with an open arm. He said, my son, you have come home. He was so happy. He was like, when he got down to his knees to tell his father, Dad, please don't take me back as your son. Take me back as your servant. He said, nonsense. He put on the finest robe, the finest sandals. He got the biggest, whatever animal they eat, and threw him a feast. Now, mind you, the first son was still there. He heard music, party, whatever. He said, what's going on? And one of the servants tell him, your brother has returned. That's what the party is, because your brother has returned. And he got a little salty. I'm like, dang, I've been here this whole time, serving my father, being family-oriented, being a good son. How come I never get this type of love? And this is what his father said to him. You are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and now is alive again. He was lost and he was found. So that's not to take anything away from I don't want to say good brother, but the brother that was home. That's to show that, hey, this guy was lost. We found him. He was dead. He's alive again. That's something worth celebrating. And that doesn't take away anything from him. So now we're going to get into our first cliche saying. What do you guys think it is? It's revolving around this parable. Again, keep in mind, today's cliches. Yes, there's no wrong. Actually, there's no wrong answers, but I want to see what you guys have to say. Huh? Oh, it's not there yet. Yeah, I haven't shown you guys. All right, so the first cliche that we're going to talk about is money is the root of all evil. How often do we hear that? Right? And the reason why I chose cliches is because cliches are cliches for a reason. Right? And the definition of cliches, like we discussed earlier, is something that you say over and over and it loses its value. So I'm afraid when we hear these things, we've lost their value. So what we're trying to do today is rejuvenate the value of these cliche sayings, because they are important. They're cliches for a reason. They're overused for a reason, right? And when we talk about the prodigal son, everybody looks at, when he went back, everybody looks at the struggle. A big part of the story, I feel like nobody pays enough attention of that cliche story of the prodigal son, is what did he do? What's the first thing that he did? He took what from his father?
Money.
All the money he's supposed to inherit. All the money he's supposed to inherit, he took from his father. And then went away to be on his own. For the first time, he had money. For the first time, he was the one that was responsible for the money that he had. I'm looking around in the class here, and hopefully with the viewers live as well. We're about that age. We're either getting ready to go to college or graduating college or are in the workforce. We're about that age where we're thinking about moving out, being on our own, being responsible. And for that, we have money. But this is the first time we have money and we're by ourselves. Well, this is the first time where we have, especially those that have graduated college are in the workforce. This is the first time where we had that much money coming in like every 2 weeks, right? Before, I mean, you had a part-time job, or you work at a restaurant, something, to kind of make ends meet during college or whatnot. But now you have a career, benefits, retirement plans, and every 2 weeks, whether Fridays, Tuesdays, whatever day you get paid, there is a certain amount of money that's coming in your paycheck that you're not used to. And for that, we say money is the root of evil. Why? Because it is a very dangerous age for us to have money, because we need to be responsible with it. Money is a tricky resource. Why do I say that? My dad, when I was younger, whenever we go to the beach, I was like at the beach. I like to body surf. I take my boogie board. I go to the deep end, and then I let the waves bring me back out to shore, either boogie board or just body surf. I enjoy doing that. Like the wave tosses me around, I'm kid stupid, I have a good time. But he always tells me, be careful, because the water, his verbatim is, that's verbatim what he always says. Because if you think about it, if you're on the beach, you step in, you're knee height, right? Before you know it, you're not even moving. The waves are just kind of wobbling you around, and then before you know it, the water's over here. Before you know it, it's over here. And my mom is over there, she's going crazy in the back. That's just my mom being mom. But without you even having to walk, the water kind of takes you without you knowing it. And then you look back, you're like, oh, I am a lot further from the shore than I thought I was. That's the same thing money does to you, because it doesn't like, it's not a temptation that just stabs you like, okay, I know that one is wrong. I know I shouldn't do that right away. It's something that just kind of makes you, hey, you have a little bit of money now. What are you going to do with that money? And I think I can speak for everyone that says, when you start making money, what's the next thing that you want? More money. And that's how it's structured. If you think about it, you graduate from college, right? You get your entry-level job. You get your entry-level job, you're making a decent amount, but the next thing is, okay, now I got to get to that junior level. Why? Because it comes with more compensation. And then after that, you got to get to the senior level. And then you keep going up, because there's always more money to be made. And somewhere along the path, we start serving money. Money becomes our master. Because it's without knowing it. If you don't pay attention, if you're not vigilant, it takes you without you knowing it. And what does the Bible say about serving two masters? If you look at Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. Right? And what does this world teach us about money? Money's happiness. Mm-hmm. Money can buy you happiness. That's a big one. Yep.
Money is necessary for life and well-being.
Money is necessary for life and well-being. Yep.
Money will solve all your problems.
Oof, money will solve all your problems. I'm glad you said that. So for those of you who was there at YRTC CD release, right? So if you guys were there, or if you've seen the teaching that I did over there, that means you guys know I am a bit of a poet. I enjoy poetry. Are you guys with me? So we're going to look at some poets of today, and they tell us a little bit about money. Are you guys ready? All right. So they say more money, more problems. Bring on the problems. Bring on the problems. This is by a very well-known poet that goes by the name of Aubrey Graham. And I think it was with another person, Savage the 21st. Right? Here's what the money tells us. Second poet, These are well-known poets in our universe. Ain't nothing more important than the moolah. And these are by a poet, Sean Anderson and poet Montana. Apparently he's from France. Right? And the final thing is get rich or die trying. This one I heard back when I was in Ethiopia, and this was the poet Curtis Jackson. If you guys don't know those names, good. You are doing good in life. Or if you don't know any of these lyrics. Obviously, this is just meant to, these are songs. These are songs that are well known. This is from the first one is from a recent album. This girl lost something, and that's what the album is about. Huh? Right? This is what the world teaches us about money. And we bump along to these songs. We have fun with them. But this is the message that's being portrayed. Nothing is more important than money. They say more money is that's crazy. Say as long as the money keeps coming, I don't mind the problems. That's what the world tells us. And I'll share one more with you guys. Does anybody know who this is? For NBA fans. Yeah. This guy gets it, man. I don't know where he gets it from. I have no idea where he gets it from. Right? Herbert Jones. For those of you that don't know Herbert Jones, I'm a huge sports fan. So I'm plugged in for most sports, especially NBA. So this guy, he was drafted last year. He makes about $2 million a year. Right? He's a rookie. $2 million. He doesn't get that much play time. He's a bench warmer type of thing. He's a good role player. By the way, for $2 million a year, I will bench the best bench. I'll be the best bench warmer in the league, right? But he was going around. He went viral a couple of weeks ago, being known as frugal or cheap, because he still drives a 2018 Dodge something. 2018. And he gets free gear from his team. He plays for the Pelicans, the New Orleans Pelicans. He gets free gear. So I don't know if you guys seen NBA players, but when they walk in, their fashion is up to par. They wear the most expensive stuff. They're trying to make a fashion statement. If you see this guy, he's literally wearing Pelicans shirt, Pelicans sweats, flip-flop socks, just an average guy. And they ask him, like, Herbert Jones, you make $2 million a year. You can afford this stuff. Why don't you buy more? He's like, bro, it's free. The team gives me the stuff for free. Why am I spending my money? He said, more of I want to be able to have money for my family, financial literacy, all that. But the world ridiculed him because he wasn't spending money when he can receive free stuff. That's the world we live in, folks. And I want us to be a little honest with ourselves. Y'all get that? So let's keep it a buck. That's a buck for those who don't know what animal that is. Money is the greatest competitor for our love. If you had to pick one thing side by side, right? God versus blank, what occupies the most time? Our drive for money. And I'll tell you why. Because when it gets a little dicey when we start talking about money. We're willing to give everything to God, but when he asks us to give money, I'll show up on Sundays. I'll do my prayers. I will wish well on people. But then, it starts talking about, give a little tithing. Then it gets a little dicey. People get a little uncomfortable. And this message for about money, it's not for the filthy rich. This is for us, right? If you feel like you have a good handle on your money, and I'm speaking from experience, every month when I pay my credit card bills, I'm like, how on earth did it reach this number? Go look at your transactions. Outside of your your necessities, your rent, utilities, car insurance, car note, outside of the stuff that you need to pay, look at how much stuff that you're spending money on. We spend so much money. There's something called retail therapy, guys. I never understood it. I get stressed when I spend money. So retail therapy doesn't work for me, but there's something called retail therapy. A Target run. Who can relate to that? When you go to Target, you go to pick up one thing, but because you have money, you end up leaving with half the store. I've seen this with my friends. I've seen this in myself. Because it's available to us, because it's at our disposal, we can do what we want with it. Right? We need to feed that appetite that wasn't there. And I'll be very real with you guys. Before I thought about it, I was like, before I graduated college, I was like, you know what? Nothing is going to change when I get a full-time job. Nothing is going to happen because I'm going to live the same lifestyle. I'm still going to be spending the same amount of money. Matter of fact, I'm just going to have a lot of money in my savings. Problem solved. It's when the money starts coming in, you start compromising what you had made the deal with. It's once you have that money, is when things start to change. So, and there's a great series on Father Anthony did. If you go to STS, it's called The Meaning of Money. It's a whole series. I recommend you guys to check it out. And that's where I got this from. To be rich, we don't need more money. We need more self-control. To be rich, richness is not based on how much money you have in your bank account. It's based on how much you can control yourself. Because there is an appetite that we have got to feed. A simple example. Has anybody ever went grocery shopping when they're hungry? I'm buying things that I never thought even to cook. Because I have the money. There's an appetite that needs to be fed. That's the same thing with money. It's a cliche saying, right? Money is the root of all evil, but the money becomes the root of all evil when you start using it incorrectly. It becomes the root of all evil when it starts to become part of you and start taking time away from you and God. How much time do you spend working for money versus how much time you spend giving to God? It tells us the previous verse. How many masters can you serve? One. You can't do both. You cannot do both. And we've got to open our eyes. And that's why I said over here, pick the right master. The best way to have self-control is to pick the right answer. And by the way, when I'm saying these things, it's not to say money is not important. I'm not telling you that, neither is God. Right? And we're going to get into what that means in a little bit. But we have got to pick the right master. And talking about the fruit of the Spirit, if you look at Galatians 5, it says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm and do not let yourself be burdened again by the yoke of slavery." So this is telling us we have freedom. Can everybody agree? Everybody agree? We have freedom, yes? Yes, we have freedom. Now, you look at the next verse, it says, "So I say, walk by spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For the flesh desires is what contrary to the spirit, but if you are led by the spirit, you are not under the law." So it's telling you, the fleshly desires are going to be there, but you've got to walk by the spirit, right? If you walk by the spirit, then that law of fleshly desires does not apply to you. Everybody with me so far? And then, we talked about self-control earlier. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Now, when I say this, I'm going to share a verse with you guys after this. Usually when I do verses, I don't like doing long verses when teaching because I feel like I lose people, right? But I couldn't find a part to cut out. And I'm being very honest with you guys. So I need you guys to pay attention for this. Money worries us all. Everybody has financial burdens. Yes? We could at least agree to that. Especially the older you get, the more financial burden that falls on you. Whether it's your own, it's rent, supporting family, it's bills. There was some session and it happened again. There's a recession. There's a lot of things that happen, right? There's inflation, outflation. There's money, the economy. Every time you look back, it's like, oh, this is down this many points. This is down this many points. There's a lot of things to worry about. And the thing with that is God understands that. Again, I'm not over here sitting telling you, don't make money. You need money for your day-to-day needs. But if we look at Matthew chapter 6, verses 25 to 34, God tells us do not worry, right? He says, and like I told you, I don't like putting full verses, but I couldn't find anything to cut out because this message is so beautiful. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you eat, will drink, or about your body you will wear. Is life more than food? What? Is not life more than food? And is the body more than clothes? He says, look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap, store away any barns. Yet your heavenly Father takes care of them. Right? And it continues to say, are you not much more valuable than they are? So compare yourself to the birds. Right? Say they don't store away food. They don't have a barn. They don't say winter is coming, whatever, and the stars stash food. They fly away. But because why? God takes care of them. Right? Can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? No. If anything, it's the opposite, no? The more you worry, the more problems you cause to yourself. Keep on reading. And why do you worry about clothes? See how the flowers of the field grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that's how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow, is thrown into the fire, he will not much more clothe you, you of little faith. So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat? What shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. God knows that we need these things. He's comparing us to pagans, that are non-believers, saying even they yearn these things. But the part I highlighted is, but seek first his kingdom. Seek first what? Yeah, he's telling you. He's not telling you quit your job. He's not telling you just live aimlessly. He's telling you, you can make money, but what? Seek what first? His kingdom. Can I hear everybody say, seek what? His kingdom. And all these things will be given to you as well. So keep this verse in mind if we want to talk about money. Because God understands that it does worry us. God understands because it's the world we live in. It's a very competitive, especially if you've entered corporate America, we're literally fighting to go one person over the other, right? To get that next promotion. You start thinking about, okay, I need to buy a house. You start thinking about, oh, I need to plan for retirement. You start thinking about, okay, I got to plan for family. There's all these things, they come at a financial burden. God understands that. But the only thing that he's asking you to do is make sure you seek his kingdom first. Are you guys with me? Yes. So what was the first cliche that we discussed? Money is the root of all evil, right? Do not let money rule you. Since we're talking about money, make sure y'all go ahead and donate for Spot. Just, shameless plug. I'm going to try to plug in Spot as much as possible when given a chance. So that concludes the first cliche. What was the cliche parable? Prodigal son. Which part of that story did we take out? The money, right? The young boy, he took the money. And when I was coming up with this, it always gets forgotten because everybody focuses on the parable is called the Prodigal Son Returns, right? But in the beginning, we need to focus on how he left. We can clearly see how money corrupted him. And I do not want that to be us. The next thing is Dawit Anthony. I'm going to show you guys a video, and hopefully you guys try to guess what cliche is coming up. Are you guys with me? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Is that better? All right.
You know what? In life, don't cover the church by. Whoa! Don't judge the cover, judge the book. Man, don't book the cover. Book. Don't whatever. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
All right. Anybody can guess what the next cliche is going to be? Don't judge a book by its cover, or don't cover the judge. Just don't do it, right? That's what he said. And yeah. Oh, hold on. Yeah. Oh, hold on. I got you. Yeah. So cliche number 2, don't judge a book by its cover. And that's the cliche we're looking at. Going back, the parable of the cliche was what? The prodigal son. Now, the part of the prodigal son we're going to look at is what kind of judgment you think the prodigal son received when he was amongst the pigs. When he was there, after he blew all his money, after he literally reached rock bottom, what kind of treatment you think he received from the people around him? Judge. He was like, oh, look at this guy. He's feeding pigs. The lowest of the low. Right? And what I want us to think about when we say don't judge a book by its cover, God tells us, if you look at the book of Samuel, when Saul was about to be appointed king, he was sent, and if you read 1 Samuel chapter 9, verses 2, Saul was fit to be king. And I mixed up my words. I'm thinking, I said Samuel, but Saul was the one that was fit to be king. He looked the part. It tells us, had a son named Saul, as a handsome and a young man could be found elsewhere in Israel. And he was a head taller than anybody else. Whew. That kind of reminds me of myself, a handsome young man with a big head, right? And if you also look at it, it says, so did a man by the name of Eliab. They're those two people that looked to be the part of a king. They were big. People will follow them. And then at that time, that's what you needed. But God told him, this is when he told him to go find David. David was what? Was he big? Did he look part of a king? No, right? He said, the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at things that people look at. People look outward appearance. But the Lord looks at the what? The heart. The Lord looks at the heart. He does not see the outside. This is telling us God does not judge a book by its cover. That's the second cliche. Keep that in mind. Now, who wants to be judged? No one. And I think I can argue 9 times out of 10, unless you're a special case. No one wants to be judged, whether it's spiritually, socially, in the workforce, whether it's education, and whatever you can think about, nobody wants to be judged. Prime example. Who here has been to the dentist before to get your routine teeth cleaning? Yes? What is the one thing you do the night before and the morning of before you go get your teeth cleaned? Well, I don't even use the regular Colgate. I buy Sensodyne, the expensive joint, to make sure that, hey, doc, this is what I've been using. I'm flossing, I'm rinsing 2 different types of things. Why? Because even though, it's crazy, even though we're going to go get our teeth cleaned, we don't want the doctor to say, oh, you need to get your teeth cleaned. You see how crazy that's? We don't want to be judged. In all aspects, even in relationship, think about first dates. Fellas, if it's a first date, boy, you bringing out your best fit. Nice shoes, you get a cut, whatever, the best fit that you have is set for that first date. And ladies, I'm going to let you know a little secret. If a guy picks you up on the first date in his car, you best believe that car is washed to the T the day before, the day of, and as soon as you come, he's going to be like, sorry, I didn't clean up my car, you know? Trying to be like, this is the regular, this, you know? We don't want to be, and vice versa. Ladies, you see, there's your crush. He asks you out on a date. You know, a very wholesome man. He comes to YOTC 130 classes, you know? Right? You're going to throw on your best fit, no? You're going to do your best to look the part because you don't, Both the genders, they don't want to be like, oh, why would he wear this or why would she wear that? We do not want to be judged. Right? And I'm going to plug Aziz Abai over here. And this is, if we feel like we're being judged, and this is the standard, and this is something that stuck with me. If a person is repentant and feels like he's a sinner, he would accept being judged. That's the standard. And as you see, quote is Aziz Abai. That's from one of his teachings, right? If we are to be judged, and if we're truly repentant, right, he who is being judged should accept being judged. But that's the standard, right? But we have ace in the hole of a verse when we being judged, right? He who is perfect, cast the first stone. That's the one we go to. Whenever we're being judged, we go to John 8, verse 7. Let anyone who is without sin be the first one to throw a stone. That's our favorite one. Because that defends us. You're like, you're not perfect, you can't judge me. You're not perfect, you can't judge. And we do that even, think about it, in work. If somebody that's like, you're equal, trying to tell you your job, like, nah, bro, stay in your lane. They're like, worry about yourself. Even though it's criticism, like we tend to be a little defensive. But the thing that a lot of people fail to understand about this verse is saying, let he without sin cast the first stone, right? Very simple. That also means you can't cast the first stone because you are not perfect. And it says, don't do unto others what you don't want to yourself, right? We don't want to be judged. So we should not be judging others. Now, there is two sides to judging a book by its cover, and we're going to look at both. Judging the sinners. Judging the sinners, meaning, and maybe I made that too specific, but just people that you feel like you're doing a little bit better than. Almost to a point where you're looking down upon them. The only thing I say to you is like, if you're going to judge others, I say keep the same energy when you look in the mirror. Right? Keep like, and what did God say in 1 Samuel? The Lord does not look at people what people look at. People look outward. You just see the outside of that person. But God looks at the heart. Jesus did not walk amongst perfect people. Jesus did not walk amongst holiest of holies when he came to earth, did he? He walks amongst whom? Sinners. He walked amongst us. Did he judge us? When we spat on his face, what did he say? When we whipped him, when we crucified him, he showed his love to us with no judgment. And we're trying to walk like Christ, right? That's what everybody's trying to do. Yes? If we're trying to walk like Christ, well, we got one of the criteria right? Which is we're walking among sinners. That's a given. I'm a sinner, you're a sinner, we're all sinners. We're walking amongst one another. But most of us, we don't do the not judging part. And this comes, it sucks because it comes from comparing. And I always say, comparing leads to one of two things. You either compare yourself to somebody that's better, right? And what happens is you're not satisfied with the progress that you've made. You feel like you haven't done much because you're comparing yourself to whatever person you're comparing it to. Or you compare someone that you feel like is beneath you, which is, in that situation, what do? Like, oh, at least I'm not that bad, right? At least, like, I come to Sunday church. That person don't even do that. Or the opposite is like, oh, he made it to Qaddasi. She made it to Qaddasi. I didn't. Bro, worry about you. Stay in your lane. God looks at your heart. He's not going to judge you based on what the other person did. So why are you worried about what the other person is doing? Are you guys with me? So this is judging the sinners, judging the people that you feel like you're not doing better than. And the next one is important. And this is judging people that seem well put together. Right? This is judging people that seem well put together. Just because you see somebody that's well off, that's fine, doesn't mean they're fine, right? There's a lot of people that mask a lot of pain in their day-to-day lives, and you wouldn't even know it. Especially now. Now's the time. This is a season, right? When a seasonal affective disorder is big. We're going to talk a little about mental wellness, right? There's people that suffer from depression, anxiety. There's abusive relationships, whether it's family or the romantic relationship. There's loneliness. There's people that deal with that on a day-to-day basis, but they come straight up in front of you, they have a beautiful smile on their face. But behind that mask, there's a lot of pain, and you don't know. So for those, I'll say, choosing your word kindly, right? In Matthew 12:36, it says, "But I tell you that everyone will have to give to account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken." The tongue is a very powerful tool, no? Words hurt, right? Is it just me? Sometimes, for me, like, I'd rather you punch me because they're like, okay, I thought that. I ate that junk. But if you say something mean, that hurts. If you say something that especially targeting people's flaws, if you speak on somebody's flaws in a joking manner, that sticks with them. How are you going to try to kick a man or a woman when they're down? How do you not know that person that is trying to better themselves, but you're pushing them back down? Are you guys with me? And for those that may be experiencing the things that I listed, those dealing with depression, anxiety, those dealing with loneliness, any mental illness or anything that you are feeling, you feel like you can't share, first thing, you are not alone. First thing, the church is here for you. First thing, like, even if you don't know me, bro, you can pull up to me and just start talking. I'm here to listen. We have a spiritual father that's willing to listen. I'm sure I could speak for everybody in YLTC when they said if you speak, they're willing to listen. But more importantly, when I say you're not alone, I'm talking about Isaiah 41:10. "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, and I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And that tells you, when I say you're not alone, even if everybody that I just named fails you, and I'm 100% sure, almost 100% they won't, God is on your side. And also, for people dealing with these type of things, I urge you, seek professional help. It is as big of an illness as physical harm. Right? If I broke my arm, right, I can't go to Casis and say, "Casis, go fix it." He's going to say, "I'll pray for you. I hope you're well, but you need to go to the doctor." Same thing with these things. There's professionals that are there to help. There's resources out there. So I urge everybody to seek the help that they need if this is what you're experiencing. Now, we're going to reverse this cliche a little bit while we're still on the topic of, what's the cliche that we're on right now? Don't judge a book by its cover. We're going to kind of flip it for ours when it comes to Christianity. For the outside world, we're the only Christianity that people get. Are you guys with me? And you best believe they're going to judge Christianity on the cover of your book. And usually people think this only applies to clergy members. This applies to priests. This applies to deacons. No. This applies to the every child of God. This applies to you, everybody in here. If you're claiming you're a Christian, and once you walk out these walls and doing unholy things, there's somebody that might spot you like, oh, okay, that's what Christianity is about. Because they're going to judge that book by its cover. Again, I keep saying cliches because a lot of time when cliches, they're so overused, we tend to forget the importance of them. They're said over and over and over and over to a point where like, oh, it's lost its meaning. No, it did not, especially with these things. Cliches are cliches for a reason. So understand, when you're walking around in the world, Treat yourself as a book of Christ. And what your actions portray, treat that as your cover, because that's what people are going to see. All right, moving on. The last cliche that we're going to talk about is teamwork makes the dream work. That's our favorite saying, man. Especially when you're not trying to get work done at work. When I'm on a couple of projects, guys, I put in teams. Teamwork makes the dream work. Send a funny gift. Hopefully they get most of the work done. Right? But the same thing applies. And we're going to talk about a different parable as well. But for this parable, the parable of what? The prodigal son. That's a cliche story that we're revolving everything around, right? For this story, the prodigal son didn't have anybody when he left his father's house. Because he took all his money, he took all his inheritance, he was out in the world by himself. He was all alone in a place that he did not know. And now, this parable, I'm not going to get into the depth of it, but just to give you a small synopsis, the parable of the sower. This is found in Matthew 13, 1 through 9. In this parable, what happens is there's a farmer, he takes his seeds, right, and he sows them. That's how you harvest, or not harvest, but plant the actual plants, whatever it is, right? And there's 4 paths that this parable discusses. The first one, the farmer on his way, some of the seeds fell. Those didn't even grow. They got eaten by the birds. The second group, they fell in some rocky grounds, right? There was some soil, but because the soil around them was very rocky, they didn't have what? They didn't have root to hold on and grow. The third one, which the one we're going to look at in a little bit, is there was people that landed on incredible soil to flourish, but they were suffocated by thorns that were around that soil. And the last one is there was no thorns, there was good land, and those, the parable says that they multiplied 150 whatever times their worth, right? The one we're going to look at is the third one, the one that is suffocated by thorns, right? We have got to choose our friends wisely. If you guys know who that guy is, this is a very famous guy. I forgot his name, but he drove his grandma's car around, and when the police interviewed him, he was like, "Do you know you could have killed people, or whatever?" He said, "Yeah, I know, but I just wanted to hood rat stuff with my friends." That's literally what he said, like verbatim. This is not like something I typed up. That you can find the video. And the funny thing is, he kept doing hood rat stuff with his friends because when I found this picture, I did more reading. The hood rat stuff didn't stop. 10 years later, he got charged with armed robbery or something. So yeah, the hood rat stuff, man, I tell you. But hood rat stuff with what? With his friends. That's what we want to talk about. And the parable, right? You have a good soil. The seed is never bad. I forgot to mention that. The seed is never bad in that parable of the sower. We just need to give it a place to grow. Are you guys with me? If we give it a place to grow, the seed will grow. But we have got to make sure we have friends that are respectful of our faith. We've got to make sure that people will respect we are on the path to righteousness. Now, I say this because there is friends that we have that necessarily don't come to church. There's friends that we have that are of different faith. I'm not saying cut those friends off, just call it, guys, so you told me we can't be friends. No, that's not what I'm saying. But make sure those friends are respectful of the faith. Make sure that those friends don't get in your way of righteousness. I'll give a personal example. And for those of you that know me, you probably know the story. It's when I was, graduated high school, first year of college. I've never, at the time, I'd never been to a club or anything. Wish I could say that now, but at the time, I've never been to a club. And my friend, my good friend, till this day, she's a very good friend of mine. She asked me, yo, I'm turning 13. I mean, woo. Guys, FBI agents, mistake. 18. 18. Good heavens. I just wanted to make sure y'all were paying attention. Wow. That could have went left quick. I'm so glad y'all said something quick. That was turning 18. 18. Legal age. Right? She was turning 18. And this was a time where with Dawit, he used to have us to Friday night classes. We used to have every Friday night, me and a couple of us, we used to go to Dawit, have discussions and whatnot. And she knows, because we used to hang out Fridays with a group of us, but then I slowly stopped coming on Fridays, and then it was fully just Fridays was church day, just church discussions. And she used to always be like, yo, you never have time for me. You never have time to hang out with us. Whatever. I'm like, bro, I'm going to church. Between God and you, I'm going to choose God. This is not even up for a debate, right? So on her 18th birthday, she was like, man, we got a hotel room or something. We're going to pregame, and then we're going to go into, we have fake ID stuff. I'm like, bro, that's like 8 crimes that I've never committed. I'm not going to do that. But she was like, no, it's my 18th birthday, bro. You got to come out. I'm like, nah, I can't. I'm sorry. If you want, I'll get you a gift. We can go grab dinner another time. It's fine. I kept at that. Now her 21st birthday, now she's legally gonna go to the club, right? You know what she called and told me? She said, hey, I'm gonna reserve a table. I know you won't be able to make it, but let's set up a dinner sometime. Why? She knew she was being respectful of my friends. Faith and my friends. I double down on that, right? She was being respectful of my faith. She knew that, this is not just a one-time thing. This is something that he's going to keep doing. You've got to ask yourself, do you have those type of friends? If you started, especially that we have a lot of newcomers here. We have a lot of members that are going to start encountering these challenges. This is a tough conversation that we need to have. Are the people that you surround yourself really your friends? If they're not willing to walk in righteousness, but not respect you walking in righteousness, not respect the faith that you're trying to follow. What does these 2 verses? Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And then you will be able to approve of God's will is good and pleasing and the perfect will. And then 1 Corinthians says, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. We've got to be mindful, no matter how good you're, just like the thorns. The thorns, there was good soil. I like to think everybody in here was good, but if we're not careful, we can be corrupted. Our good character, our good seed can be suffocated by the thorns that we think are our friends. Are you guys with me? And the next thing is, now, we talked about choosing your friends wisely. We're going to take it one step further, which is having friends that walk the same path. This picture is from the walkathon. Guys, these are my friends. We walk the same path. Some of them are here today. Hi, guys. Hi, friends. Right? I'll tell you, walking in righteousness, walking the path of God is 1,000,000 times easier when you have those that you surround yourself that are on the same path. Why? 1, you can kind of keep each other honest. If one falls, the other one is right there to pick you back up. And 2, you know how it says, this verse said, do not conform to the pattern of this world, right? If you're around people that are walking in the same path as you, you're conforming to the same path. All of you have the same destination, right? All of you are going to the same place, so there's not an extra challenge that you've added yourself to yourself walking in this righteousness. And in Proverbs 12:26, it tells us the righteousness choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. So pick your friends carefully. Really ask yourselves. The first thing is, are the friends that I consider my friends really my friends? Meaning, would they respect my faith? Would they accept me if I told them, I'm going to start going to church more? I can't do the things that I used to do before anymore. Would they accept us? And then when we take it one step further, is surrounding ourselves with people that are on the right path, the same path as we are. Because then at least, imagine you circle yourself with good people, right? Imagine there's a circle of people that are walking the right path as you. Right? You're walking in uniform. And then if you try to get out, there's somebody right there. You say, hey man, what's going on? Let's talk about it. You go this way. There's somebody there because you're surrounded, right? That's what our aim should be. But if that circle that you surround yourself is, it's not somebody with the right path as you, if you're trying to leave that bad circle the same way, if they try to keep you in, there goes your answer. All right, so we've discussed how many cliches? What was the first one? Hold on, y'all said like 18 different things. What was the first one? Money is the root of all evil. Number 2. Don't judge a book by its cover. The prodigal son is a cliche parable, guys. And number 3? Teamwork makes the dream work. There we go. You see that you guys worked as a team, right? We're going to do just 2 more, and these are just honorable mentions, just to conclude. Ignorance is bliss. And the last one is time waits for no man or time flies. When I say ignorance is bliss, what does ignorance is bliss mean? What you don't know can't hurt you, right? You know when we choose to be very ignorant? During fasting, right? It's like, don't tell me this mac and cheese and chicken sandwich has any dairy or milk in it. If you tell me it's good, I'm going to eat it. You pick up the chips. You don't look at the back. You don't read the ingredients. It contains milk and soy. It has soy. It's enough, right? That's when we choose to be most ignorant. Because what you don't know can hurt you, right? But I'm going to take that a step further. Some of us are willing to be ignorant and not knowing our faith. Why? We're hard to leave the life. It's hard for us to leave the life we live behind. What you know, maybe just coming to church is the length of as far as what Christianity is. Let's just keep it a bare minimum. At a bare minimum, coming to church is what Christianity is about. That's all you know. If you're not willing to learn more, that means you're comfortable in that state that you're in because, I didn't know. Because what I don't know can't hurt me. You can't be willingly ignorant. Because that goes against everything that you say. Who here loves God? Right? Again, I say, how can you claim you love a God that you don't know nothing about? We can't willfully be ignorant and say we love God. That's just, those two they're like magnets. You can't connect them. Opposite sides are magnets. It doesn't go together. Right? So we cannot use ignorance as bliss saying, oh, well, I didn't know. It's our job to know. It's our job to learn, people. I'm glad that you guys are here every Sunday to learn the word, to learn about the history, to learn what the future series is going to be. That's good, but we have got to keep coming. We've got to be learning more. We can't use saying I didn't know as an excuse. There's always more to learn, more to know. And the last one is time waits for no man or time flies. This one is it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's been 9-10 years since YOTC was established, right? Guys, and I'm not lying to you. If we didn't have new servants, we would have to change our name. Because it would be OOTC. Because it would be Old Orthodox Taekwondo Christians. You know what? We don't have time. We can't keep saving things for the future. And I'm glad to see new faces. I'm glad to see the youth coming to the church. The youth willing to serve. I'm very happy about that. But the same way the youth uses their energy, the people we at right now, like we should not be in the same state we were in when YOTC began. There needs to be growth. We need to use the time that we have wisely because we don't know how much time we have left. Are you guys with me? And then, with that being said, I'm going to leave you with one more cliche. And then I'm out, okay? And that's, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. What's about Alexander?